And let's see what he is posting right now on Truth Social. Just 13 minutes ago, he said it's a sad day for America when a low-life prosecutor like deranged Jack Smith, who was put in the position of special prosecutor by Lisa Monaco, and the other thugs that surround our incompetent president, crooked Joe Biden, to sully my reputation for the purpose of election interference and ideally put me in jail. So he's talking more about some of the court cases going on against him right now. But here's the thing. While this is clearly obvious what's going on in Colorado, that is the Democrats wanting to keep him off the ballot. And as the Trump team just announced, they are doing everything they can to keep him off the ballot because they are in a paranoia, frantic state right now because of these numbers and that they know that President Trump and the MAGA movement is so strong. This now goes to the U.S. Supreme Court. Like the Trump team just said, they have full confidence that the U.S. Supreme Court will make the right decision because they say this is election interference. The American people see this news that's coming out of Colorado. If you live in Colorado, wake up. They are deliberately doing this to keep a man off of the ballots, and they're showing their party favoritism by keeping the Republican nominee, who may be the nominee, who's looking like he could be the nominee from the poll numbers, who is leading in all the polls, not only in the Republican primary, but also in a head-to-head matchup against Joe Biden. It's clearly obvious and blatant that they are causing some election interference there. But again, that's breaking news. Thanks to the guys at the back at the RSBN studio for letting me know about that on my phone as we report here live to you in Waterloo, Iowa. President Trump expected to take the stage in 17 minutes. I'm sure he will talk about Colorado when he comes on stage because that is just coming in. Going back to Agenda 47 now, DonaldJTrump.com. We talked about the drug addictions on the streets of America. A lot of that coming from the drug cartels and their push to get all of these millions of people into America with an open border. This is their time to shine, and they're doing so under the Biden administration. They say the border is open. We're not being held accountable. But kudos to Texas Governor Greg Abbott, who just yesterday signed a bill that makes it a crime to come into Texas illegally. So it is now a crime to come into Texas illegally. He has been very adamant on X, formerly known as Twitter, about his stance on the immigration problem, the crisis in Texas, that they're in Brownsville all the way up to El Paso, that people are coming in by the droves. And the governor is doing everything he can to stop these people. He has put different initiatives in place. He has boots on the ground, and they're just not getting any help from the federal government, the Biden administration. But Texas has done a great job, in my opinion, with trying to stomp these people from coming in, and also now signing this bill into law. So kudos again to the governor there. We'll talk more about Agenda 47 here in just a little bit. But you know what, Christmas, let's see, it's December 19th, 6 days away. There's still time for you to get this Trump bear. How cute is that, with a leather jacket and sunglasses? That is so cute. I think I want one. And they're not just for kids, they're for adults too. So if you have someone in your family who is a diehard Trump fan, this is a great gift for them. And if you think you might miss the Christmas deadline, there's always Valentine's Day and Easter, and that would go great near a basket. So get your Trumpinator bear, the teddy bear. It's no ordinary teddy bear. It's a powerful statement and a symbol of your unwavering support for President Trump. All you have to do is secure yours today. Text the word holiday to 70301. Again, that's the word holiday. Text to the number 70301. So they say that the best part about this teddy bear is the slogan on the back of the jacket that says, "I'll be back 2024. So that's the Trump teddy bear for all of you who are looking for a last minute Christmas gift. Also, I'm going to throw out a name for you, Chuck Norris. Now, why am I bringing up Chuck Norris? Because he is in his 80s and he's still kicking, literally. He has so much energy. He has so much drive. And what's even more shocking is that he is even stronger and can work out longer than he does than he can his grandkids. So he can work out even more than his grandkids, and he can go all day long with lots of energy when his grandkids want to take a nap, is what I'm being told. Well, he did this by just making one change. They say he still feels like he's in his 50s. His wife even started doing this one thing too, and she says she's never felt better. She says she feels 10 years younger. Her body looks leaner, and she has energy all day. I'm loving what I hear here. Chuck made a special video that explains everything. Make sure you watch it by going to chuckdefense.com/Trump. Again, that's chuckdefense.com/Trump, or by clicking the link below the video. It will change the way you think about your health. I'm definitely going to look into this. Once again, that's chuckdefense.com/Trump. Click on the link, watch the video. You won't believe how simple it is. And just a reminder, Chuck Norris is 81 years old. He feels better than he did 10, 15, 20 years ago. He has more energy, he says, than his grandkids. He's still kicking. He is still the king at what he does. And it's all because of chuckdefense.com/Trump. There's going to be a description box telling you his secret, dramatic changes to his health, and you can get in on that as well. The Trump intro music has started behind us. That means it's going to be any minute now before the president takes the stage, eager to see what he has to say, not only about what's going on in Colorado, but, the current legal battles that he faces. And also let's talk about Hunter Biden. Hunter Biden appearing in Washington, D.C. briefly just last week. Now, he was supposed to go and speak in front of Congress for a congressional subpoena. He failed to do so. He did go sit out on the Senate side, or stand outside on the Senate side, and he held a press conference saying that his father has never been and is not financially involved in his business, and then he left. But again, he was on the Senate side, did not go on the House side, did not go in for the hearing. So now a contempt of Congress has been initiated after he failed to adhere to that subpoena. So with that said, should he be in jail? You decide. I think that he should for not appearing in front of Congress. And so we'll see what happens with that. GOP says that the facts show that Joe Biden was definitely involved in Hunter Biden's financial business dealings. They say the facts are there. They have shown some of these facts, and they say that, the facts and the proof that they have will clearly state that Joe Biden was, in fact, financially involved. But again, will he be held accountable? I'm hoping that he will. He should be, and it's definitely a sign to all Americans, because the Biden family, I believe, thinks that they are above the law and that they can get away with anything. And so if he's not held accountable, that just goes to show what I fear. And that's that here is this Biden crime family who thinks that, you do as I say, not as I do. The law applies to you, but not to me. And so we need to show them that the law does apply to them. It applies to everybody in the United States of America, and everyone, no matter your status, your governmental status, your business status. It doesn't matter if you're the CEO or the janitor. Everybody should be a law-abiding citizen, including the Biden. So I'm sure Donald Trump will speak about that today. Hunter Biden, his court dealings as well across the country in New York and Atlanta, and then also what's going on in Colorado, the breaking news that just came in today. Now, he also talks a lot about men and women's sports. You heard a lot about that in the pre-programming. Donald Trump always says, I shouldn't be here talking about this, but here I am saying that whenever I am in office, we'll make sure that men play in men's sports and they play in women's sports. And if a man thinks he's a woman, I'm sorry, you're still going to play in men's sports. So he's going to make sure that there's fair competition, that the women compete against the women, period, and the statement and discussion move on. So he'll talk about that today. He always does. He's also going to talk about what they're teaching our kids in schools. I know that all the mama bears out there are worried about where our country has gone, the books that are in our school libraries or even city libraries, what they're seeing on TV, what's in our cartoons that we're watching. And so I think it's the mama bears who are going to save this country, because the mama bears have had enough. And we have wonderful organizations like Moms for America, Moms for Liberty. All of these people are really fighting hard to get all of the moms involved across the country. There are different chapters in states. So if you want to get involved with Moms for America, Moms for Liberty, or any other organization like that, check out their websites, and then you can go and look and see if they have chapters in your area, and you can join that chapter. Now, if they don't have a chapter, you can create one. I've talked to one of the organizers for Moms for Liberty not too long ago, and she says it's very easy when you go on the website. And that's Moms for with the number 4 Liberty. When you go on the website, it'll show you where the chapters are. There's a map. And if there's not one in your area, you just say create a chapter, and they'll help you out with that. So it's the mama bears who are really taking a stance this election cycle. And we know that our babies are the future, and we want our babies to live in a normal America. What is normal? I really don't know anymore, but we want it to be what our parents grew up in. We want it to be an America that our grandparents grew up in. And so it's a crazy world out there, unfortunately, and we just want to make it better for our babies. So join a mom organization, and make sure that you help support all the moms out there as we fight these schools in these cities, and make sure that they're not attacking our kids. With Christmas right around the corner, I was making sure with Santa Claus, I put this on my list. So I hope you have it on your list too. It's not too late to support Mike Lindell. Mike Lindell has been an avid supporter of election integrity. He wants to make sure that all elections are fair and just. And so with doing that, he has spent a lot of his personal funds fighting these corrupt systems and these corrupt DAs. And he, for the first time, is really asking for America's help. And so you can help Mike Lindell by shopping My Pillow. I asked for some new towels and things for Christmas this year, so we'll see if Santa Claus delivers. But it's not too late to go help support Mike Lindell. Go to mypillow.com, type in the code RSBN. I know he's having a Christmas sale right now. So, go do some shopping. And if it doesn't come in before Christmas, that's okay. Anytime you get a gift from Mike Lindell's My Pillow website, it's Christmas every day with those gifts. So make sure you go support Mike Lindell. We appreciate everything he does. Also, make sure that you are following Right Side Broadcasting Network on Rumble. If you're on Rumble watching us right now, hello to you. Thanks for watching. Be sure you click the locals icon so you can get behind the scenes footage and pictures and information that you don't see anywhere else. So if you're on Rumble, make sure you go to locals, click that, and that'll get you situated for seeing information behind the scenes. Also, we're on Truth Social, we're on X, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram. Make sure you're following us all across the board as we head into 2024. Also, go to our website, rsbnetwork.com. Sign up for our newsletter. That'll get you some information. Love whenever I open up my email and I have a newsletter from RSBN. So make sure you sign up for the newsletter on rsbnetwork.com. While you're on social media, give me a follow as well. We'll be on the campaign trail with the whole RSBN team coming up in 2024. Can't wait to show you all the footage from behind the scenes. You can follow me on Instagram, Vanessa Broussard News. I'm also on X, Vanessa Broussard. And also Truth Social. Love Truth Social. That's President Trump's social media network. I'm there at Vanessa Broussard. So give me a follow. Love promoting conservative voices from across the country, behind the scenes, and just what we need to do to save this country. God first, freedom, family. It seems like it's a simple request, but the Biden administration is making it very hard for us. All right, making it hard for us to save money as well. I'm going to step to the
Hi. And I was just like, why are you up here so quick? Well, I was like kind of excited. I was waiting for you to come on. Did you hear the news? What's up, Black? So you gonna get in your own studio or what? Talk to you guys. Did you guys hear the news?
What's going on in the news? Oh shit. Hey, GTO.
About What's up, everybody? How you doing, family? All of you in here, I see you. Um, uh, that Trump ain't on the ballot. He's not on the ballot in Colorado.
Oh, really?
Can I share the screen? Come on, please say I can share the screen.
Okay, pull it up.
I'm so excited.
I thought he won the case though.
No, I didn't.
He
I'm
didn't
so
win.
excited. Come on, please can I share the screen?
Can you pull it up?
Goddamn right.
I don't see it.
Hold on. Let me get it together.
Yeah, you
One
got to
second.
pull it up.
I was excited because everybody want her to win. I just couldn't have that. Could not have that. One second. One second, okay? Just give
Wow,
me
they pulled the fast one because I don't. Yeah, I didn't hear
like
about
18,
that shit.
20 minutes ago, man. I was on it.
So it just happened.
Yes.
Wow.
1 second. Let me just make sure I got it in my let me get through the commercial version. It's not time. It's 5 o'clock. Okay.
So which judge made that determination?
Hold on. I'm about to play just for you, just so that we. Well, you're not gonna laugh, but I was laughing. Hold on a second. All right, hold on. I almost got it. Okay, bam. Okay, now, I think you just gotta make it happen on your end. All right, am I sharing it? Does it look like I'm sharing it?
Yeah.
All right, perfect. All right. Now let me get over. I got excited. I got to calm down. All right. Here we go. Tell me you can hear it. Okay. Turn up the volume. Blow the screen up. Then here we go. Yeah, it just happened right now. So now you in the new.
The state primary and presidential ballots. A former president could appeal it to the U.S. Supreme Court and almost certainly will. Trump's candidacy was challenged by invoking the 14th Amendment's disqualification clause.
I'm upstairs.
It states that anyone engaging in insurrection cannot hold on and before January 6th.
You might have to
CBS News
refresh it.
Chief, Washington correspondent Major Garrett. What's your first reaction?
Okay. Hold on. You can't see it?
I can see it, but it's like frozen.
That this is an important moment for Colorado.
The YouTube, right?
Supreme Court to answer a never-before-asked question in our entire history. Could the actions of a president
Is it playing for you?
blocking the peaceful transfer of power and setting in motion a violent effort to resist that peaceful transfer of power be, according to a court, deemed an insurrectionist? And if so, therefore disqualified from ever appearing on that state's ballot again? That's the central question. And the Colorado Supreme Court has said the answer to that is yes, that the behavior of the former president, while he was president of the United States, attempting with the crowd, going to the Capitol and interfering with the certification of electoral votes, was acting as an insurrectionist in an anti-constitutional way. This is appealable, as you said, John, and it most certainly will be appealed. But we have a great deal of murkiness around this central question because it's never been asked before. And this falls into the broad category of where we find our law and politics in America today. Would we be asking these questions if but for Trump? And in this question, the answer is no, because we've never asked this question before. We've never had to even imagine what an answer to this question would be. But we do now, and one state, other states have either bypassed this or sort of left it in abeyance where this question has been raised, but the Colorado Supreme Court has not. It has rendered an opinion on this matter and on this question.
And we now have a Trump campaign statement that is that goes on at some length. I'll just read a little bit of the beginning of it. Unsurprisingly, it reads, "The all-Democrat appointed Colorado Supreme Court has ruled against President Trump supporting Osora," and then it goes on. So it obviously President Trump and his campaign, former President Trump and his campaign, are going to push back against this. How do you imagine this plays out, Major? I mean, the response from the Trump camp is the one you would expect. Do you think this creates a dynamic? Other Republican lawmakers have to weigh in on this. Obviously, there's a legal element. How do you think this might play out?
Well, so many Republicans will come to the president's defense and say this is not a matter for the courts or secretaries of states to decide. The primary should decide who the Republican nominee is, and the voters should decide whether or not former President Trump's behavior was like that of an insurrectionist. And this is a sort of interposing, a judicial interpositioning between voters and a potential nominee seeking the highest office in the land. The litigants in this case were not Democrats, by the way, John. They were Republicans who wanted this question asked and answered for the state of Colorado. And one of the interesting constitutional questions here is, what does the Constitution say about state power to conduct elections? It's very clear, John, and you know it. The Constitution says states will decide time, manner, and place and will adjudicate differences or discrepancies or controversies that arise within their state. Well, that's what Colorado is doing. And it's not clear that the federal Constitution gives the Supreme Court the right to say, in time, manner, and place, or resolving disputes or discrepancies, the Supreme Court can overrule a Supreme Court. Again, we are in uncharted land, but for Trump, we would not be here. These questions wouldn't even be asked, but they have to be asked, at least in the case of these litigants who brought the case to Colorado, and the Supreme Court has now said, you know what? That behavior is inconsistent with the Constitution. It qualifies under our reading of Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. And what does that amendment and its section say? You must be disqualified if you act in a way that can be fairly and legally ascertained to be insurrectionist. That's what they said. As I said, other states have looked at this and not reached the same conclusion. So this is by no means universal. But the politics of it will be a court is interfering. There will be a partisan cast applied by former President Trump. But remember, the litigants are Republicans, not Democrats. And this question cannot be dismissed as immaterial. The conduct of President Trump as president of the United States on January 6th, whether legally or not, however that's resolved in the courts, will be front and center politically in the 2024 election. And whatever the Trump campaign wants to believe about that or not, it's not a net positive.
Do you think in any way, Major, this would recenter the question of his role leading up to, in the months leading up to January 6th and on January 6th itself? And this is what I mean. So Kevin McCarthy, the former House Speaker, shortly after January 6th, said that Donald Trump was responsible for the attack on the Capitol. He further said that it was his responsibility to bind up the wounds, to steal a phrase from another era. In the wake of that attack, Trump did neither of those two things. Those would render a verdict on the question of whether he was responsible for the insurrection. Well, Kevin McCarthy has changed his mind and he's now endorsed Trump. But what I wonder is, Major, whether this returns to not a legal question, but a simple moral one. If you are supporting the president, are you supporting somebody who supported an insurrection? Is that consistent with the office he's trying to be reelected to?
Right. Most Republicans don't want to answer that question, John. They just don't, because they know the moral terrain on which that question stands is very fragile for them. Because you can't look at January 6th and say former President Trump's actions were neutral. They weren't neutral. They were aggressive in a direction to try to block certification and then gum up the works and cling to power. And as others who participated with the former president, who was president at the time, are brought to the bar of justice in Georgia, some of his attorneys have already pled guilty. Rudy Giuliani very recently was found civilly liable for defamation about what he said about what people did in connection to that election in Fulton County, Georgia. Accountability is happening. There was a defamation case against Fox News. When these questions about the 2020 election are put into the court of law, and they must be measured, not by rhetoric or not by political campaigning or rallying, but by facts and law and process, they lose and lose again and again and again. And it takes a long time for that process to play out, but it is playing out over and over and over again. And the results keep being the same. The liars, those who told falsehoods intentionally and with malice about the 2020 election, are being held to account. And this question has now reached the highest level of this nominating contest for the Republican Party. And it will have to render a verdict on whether or not the former president, then President Trump's actions are morally consistent with the future of the Republican Party. So far, The answer is yes, I guess so, because he's the leader in Iowa, New Hampshire, everyone else. But there may come a time when the attitude and the answer to that question may shift.
Major Garrett with us from Washington. Thank you so much, Major.
Thanks.
CBS News election law contributor David Becker joins us now. David, this ruling, help us understand what the court found and where it ties into the Constitution.
Yeah, Major's quite right. This is unprecedented and in many ways unexpected. Every other court that has looked at this issue has decided not on the merits. They didn't rule that Donald Trump didn't engage in an insurrection, but they decided based on procedural grounds like standing or ripeness, meaning that because he was just running for the Republican nomination, and the Republican Party has a great deal of latitude in how it decides its nominees, that it wouldn't be right for them to rule on whether or not he could appear on the Republican primary ballot. In Colorado, the cases actually took a different path. The lower court actually found as a legal and factual matter that Donald Trump's actions in inciting the mob to go to the Capitol on January 6th, quote unquote, were engaging in insurrection under the 14th Amendment. But they didn't disqualify him because they found that in the lower court that the office of the presidency wasn't an office of the United States under the 14th Amendment. Most legal scholars, including myself, felt that ruling was not going to stand on appeal, and in fact, it didn't. And what the Colorado Supreme Court found today was that this matter was ripe, that Colorado state law says that only someone qualified can appear on the ballot, and that the presidency was an office of the United States under the 14th Amendment, and that Donald Trump engaged in insurrection and therefore could not appear on the ballot. This is a very important decision. We've never been here before. And I think this Colorado Supreme Court, recognizing that, stayed their own decision until January 4th of next year, giving the Trump campaign an opportunity to appeal to the United States Supreme Court, which I think is almost certain. And then the United States Supreme Court could decide on whether to take it. It is not mandatory that they take this case up. But I think almost everybody, including myself, thinks that it's almost a 100% likelihood that they will take on this case.
I've got my math right here, 3 tests. Let me take them in order. In terms of the merits, I just want to grab a hold of what you were saying about the parties. So essentially the other states ruled, and I'll paraphrase it and you pick it apart, ruled essentially that because parties, political parties, make up their own rules, the Constitution doesn't govern them. The Constitution governs elections for federal offices, but how the parties choose to pick their people, that's their own deal. Is that essentially what the other states decided?
Yeah, that's exactly right, John. There's amendment protection for parties and others to engage in a right of association. Here, the political parties, the Republican Party in this case, has a right to decide who's going to represent them in the presidency. So what Donald Trump was running for, at least as determined by these other states, wasn't for the presidency, but for the nomination to appear on the ballot for the presidency in the general election. So it wasn't quite yet right for the court to take this on until after he was officially the nominee. Colorado decided otherwise.
So now help me through with this. The presidency is not an office of the United States, because that has always, to me, been a head scratcher.
Yeah, and I think it was to most of us who looked at the lower court decision. I mean, if you think about it, the office of the United States certainly encompasses especially the presidency. When the 14th Amendment was drafted in the aftermath of the Civil War, can you imagine that the drafters of the 14th Amendment sought to exclude the presidency, sought to allow Jefferson Davis or Robert E. Lee to take the Oval Office in an election? I think that's certainly not the case based on all the legislative history and all of the plain language of the 14th Amendment. So it's not surprising that the Colorado Supreme Court ruled that the presidency was in fact covered as an office of the United States under the 14th Amendment.
And then finally, on the question of insurrection, obviously the leaders of President Trump's party in the House, the Senate, his own vice president, have all said he was responsible for the insurrection. But what's the legal test for that question?
You know, we've never really fleshed a lot of this issue out. What we know is it doesn't mean that someone has to be convicted of sedition or insurrection. The terms engaged in insurrection is used in the 14th Amendment, not convicted, not found by a court. And we're going to take that language as it is in the 14th Amendment. So it becomes a very complex factual matter and legal matter to determine whether or not the actions of the former president, with all of his inflammatory language, with encouraging the mob to go to the Capitol on January 6th, after the election had already been determined, after all of his legal cases had failed, including before Republican judges as well as Democratic judges. And so that is likely where the appeal is going to center when it goes to the United States Supreme Court. And as I said, I think they're likely to hear it.
And so you mean you think it's likely to center on whether he had a causal relationship with the attack on the Capitol? That it's that question.
Yeah, and they'll parse the meaning of the words insurrection and engage, and whether he engaged in insurrection. And of course, there will be other legal arguments. We will continue to see the argument about whether the presidency is an office of the United States. That is not a unanimous opinion amongst legal scholars, although the weight of most believe that that it is an office of the United States. And this rightness issue is likely to still come up. I mean, that is theoretically, though, a Colorado state law issue, right. And that was Colorado state law ruling. And it may be something that is outside of the purview of the United States Supreme Court, which can only take up federal and constitutional issues.
David Becker, CBS News election law contributor and expert. Thank you so much for helping us sort through this, David. We appreciate it. We're going to take a quick break. More news ahead. You're streaming CBS.
All right.
Too many things all at once.
We gonna get Trump's take on it, but I mean that's just Colorado, so you know what that's gonna do. That's gonna pump people up for. He gonna flip Chicago now. Mm-hmm. He's definitely gonna flip Chicago.
Yeah, but how can you even if you can't? Like, that's gonna fuck up everything. Like when one state goes like that, then the other states that are like Colorado or think like Colorado can do the same thing, which will just put them I just want to know this. Here's my question, just out of pure curiosity. If Colorado won't let him on the ballot, just like some of the other states won't let some of the Democrats on, right? How do they even win at all? Like, there's not even a chance, right? Because you need our votes. Don't we? Don't you need us? Like,
well, I think
it's like, how the fuck is he going to win presidency without Colorado or any of the other states? And I don't want Biden to win. I don't want, I'm a third party candidate.
Let me explain it. First of all, Republicans don't need Colorado. Colorado is a Democratic state. That's a Democratic state. That's number one. Trump doesn't need Colorado per se. I mean, it would be nice, but I mean, the chances of Trump winning Colorado, even if they did have him on the ballot, that being a Democratic state, more than likely, I think Biden is projected to win Colorado. Now, when you look at a state like Illinois, he's going to flip Illinois because now the people, what's the name? They have Illinois for Trump. He has the potential to flip Illinois, but I don't think he had a chance of flipping Colorado. I mean, I don't know.
Maybe I'm gonna be honest about this Colorado thing. Like, I'm so disappointed in my state right now. Like, we can't stay out the news. Like, we're always in some shit over here. I just think that first of all, like who couldn't be all hyped up about whether or not Trump was gonna be on the ballot anywhere or what he's doing, because he's campaigning, so he obviously has hope. But I'm just like, I didn't want Biden to get another term either. I'm like a third party.
No. Well, right now, if you look at the ballots in every swing state, because really you need swing states to win, Trump is ahead by double digits. So no, Biden is not going to beat Trump. That's not going to happen.
No, not at all. And I think too also that in our state, I was just put it in our state, because I know from personal experience, because me and Jesse, ran for office just recently, in separate areas, and I know for a fact that two things, that they're really pushing the Democratic shit over here heavy,
right?
Even though we all seen both terms, we all seen the Trump term and the Biden term, and so you see that neither one was like I mean, well, definitely Trump had a little bit more benefit towards us than Biden has. A lot. There's a couple positives. However, we've seen how quick that the money is moving to the money promotes or projects the value of our state right now, right? So the money's like saying we're gonna put all this in Democrats. You know what I mean? But all we got is Biden running, and then you got like she said in the chat. Yeah, I love it. Like she said in the chat. They're not even letting the Democrats have a debate. But I got the forum. I got the little Democratic forum. If y'all want to see it, I got it. I watched it on the Young Turks too, because I'm a fan of the Young Turks too. But I only really watch Dr. Rashad.
Well, what I want to see, Chuck, I want to see what Trump gonna have to say about Colorado, because that's going to strike up his base right there. So he should be coming on. Hold on, he should be coming on in a few. So hold on. Add to the stage. So yeah, he'll be coming on. So I definitely want to hear what he got to say about it. But here's my prediction: not only is this going to fire up his base, like I say, these double digits in every swing state. He's going to flip Illinois. Right now, they got Illinois for Trump. The black people in Illinois, they're calling for Trump to come rally in Illinois. Now, Chicago is mostly red. The only stronghold on the Democrats is Illinois. Illinois black people are saying we want Trump. And
because they're upset. They're upset.
Yeah. And that's why this right here with Colorado is their Hail Mary. Their Hail Mary is going to fall flat on his face. So they're going to say, oh, Trump can't run in Colorado. And they think that's going to backfire big time. Watch what I tell you. That's going to big time.
I'm excited. I'm like, it's just an L, it's just a little L. But again,
it's not only an L, but the guy, I forgot his name. He's a Hispanic guy from Cuba. He's the one that petitioned for it. Now, number one.
Yeah.
He's going to petition for it, but they're not going to have time enough to do it in every other state. They're not going to do it. So people talking about, they're going to set precedents. No, it don't. It's just in Chicago. I mean, I'm sorry, Colorado. Chicago is going to flip, and I'm going to say New York is going to flip.
Yeah, because nobody took the initiative, I think, to file, right? Other than Colorado.
No, just Colorado. I mean, I know they did. They did in some other states. They did in 4 other states, but they lost. But the guy in Colorado appealed it. So Trump is going to appeal. He's going to double appeal that again.
Yeah, so with the ultimate Supreme Court. Yeah.
But more than likely, it's not going to take precedence in no other state. It's not. People say it is. It's not going to take precedence. They just trying to. That's their Hail Mary. I expect them to do the Hail Mary because, like I said, Trump is in double digits right now.
He's a one-man show right now.
He's double digits. So
you know why that is though. Let me tell you. I think this is my opinion. My theory of why that is like I was telling Jesse. I said, Trump speaks to our inner placation. He placates to us. Like we just want to hear everything gonna be all right, and he says it in a way that we just believe, even though we know. So he'd be like. It's everything's all good. It's all good. Everything's great. It's special. We're in love. That's all we want to hear. And he placates to us.
Hold on, he's coming on. I'm gonna see what he got to say about it.
Next to you, and they met her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
Yeah.
From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston, and New York to LA. Where there's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say, forget the men who died, who gave that life to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free.
Does every rally start off like
Forget the men who died, who gave that life to me, and I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Waterloo, thank you very much. It's great to be here. And a lot of people outside, We want to stay right here. And I want to thank you very much. This is an honor. We cover all corners of your great state. You know that. And they said, Waterloo, what about Waterloo? I said, we got to get to Waterloo. So here we are. And I'm thrilled to be back in your incredible state with thousands of proud, hardworking American patriots. Let me begin by wishing you all a very Merry Christmas. Do you remember? Do you remember about 7 years ago, I said, they're going to be saying Merry Christmas again, because department stores, of course, they have other problems now. They're being robbed. The department stores right now, they have very big problems. 400 or 500 people run into them, grab everything, run out. Nothing happens because our law enforcement's not allowed to do their job. They're great. They're not allowed to do their job. So they have other problems too, but they say Merry Christmas now at least. And it's very important. That was a big deal, and now nobody even thinks about it. We say Merry Christmas. I'm honored by that. We're just 27 days away from Iowa's first in the nation. Thank you very much, President Trump, because you're first in the nation because I said you were first in the nation. It's very simple. And the caucuses are a big deal. On Monday, January 15th, we're going to win the Iowa caucuses, and then we're going to crush crooked Joe Biden next November. And we're going to very simply make America great again. Thank you. Thank you, Pastor. I want to thank a very special person. She stepped up very early and very strong, and she's highly respected. I think she's probably your most, we have to call everyone a politician, I guess, if you run for office. I think she's probably your most popular politician right now in Iowa. Brenna Bird, your Attorney General. Thank you, Brenna. Thank you, darling. She's been incredible. A man who endorsed me before I was even running. I said, who's this guy from Iowa that keeps talking about Trump? And he's I call him the Marlboro Man. He's a handsome guy. State Senator Brad Zaun. Brad, where's Brad? Thank you, Brad. Thank you very much. He's been great. He was endorsing me before I ran. I said, who is that guy? But he was probably the first one in the whole country. State Representatives Bobby Kaufman, who's fantastic, by the way, and his father's fantastic too. Derek Wolf, Craig Johnson, and of course, Iowa GOP Chairman Jeff Kaufman. There's a slight relationship there. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody, and a great job. And it's fantastic to be with you. We'll be back a few more times, believe it or not. We have that big day coming up. We'll be back. We got to be sure that we put this thing away. The poll numbers are scary because we're leading by so much. The key is you have to get out and vote because, I tell it all the time. If you don't get out and vote, we can put this to bed after Iowa, if you want to know the truth. We can put it to bed for them, too. They can go home and forget it. But you have to go out. Don't sit home and say, I think we'll take it easy, darling. It's a wonderful day, beautiful. Let's just take it easy, watch television and watch the results. No, because crazy things can happen. You got to get out. This is really important. Our country's at stake. We have a country that's never been in trouble like it is right now. So get out and vote, whether we're leading in the polls or not leading in the polls. And in this case, we're leading by 30 to 40 points, I guess. But we got to win. Maybe we can win by more than that. Because, if we win in a massive number, but it's a little bit less than that, they'll say, oh, he didn't meet expectations. It was because they're fake news. We know that, They're fake news. They are the biggest fakers in the world. During this holiday season, families all across America are struggling under the brutal weight of Crooked Joe's failures, disasters, heartless betrayals, and inflation. While the stock market is making rich people richer, and I mean, it's crazy what's going on. Rich people are getting richer. Of course, I'm a politician now, so we just keep chugging along, right? But you're going to have a crash the likes of which you haven't seen because of what they're doing. It's going to be scary. Biden's inflation catastrophe is demolishing your savings and ravaging your dreams. His sky-high energy prices, the highest we've ever had, are brutalizing your wallets. Our border has been erased. Criminals are running wild in our Democrat-run cities. And thanks to Crooked Joe's breathtaking weakness, the world is going up in flames. The whole world is up in flames. You didn't have any of this stuff when I was president. I'd call and I'd say, you can't do that to the head of a country. And they wouldn't do it. And Russia would have never done it. And Hamas would never have done it because Iran wouldn't have given him the money or had the money to do it. No, it's very terrible what's going on. Hard to believe, actually. Joe Biden and the Democrat Party are incapable of solving any problems. Crooked Joe Biden is a low IQ individual. He is truly the worst, most incompetent, and most corrupt president in the history of our country. Other than that, I think quite a bit of him. Can you believe what's going on in our country? Can you believe what's going on with the border? You watch, and the fake news doesn't want to show it too much, certain of them. And I will tell you what's going on in our border. They're coming in by the millions, and we have no idea who they are, coming from all over the world. But with your vote, this election together, we're going to save America, and we're going to bring our country back from hell. Our country's been in hell. Not one thing has gotten better under Crooked Joe Biden. Under the Trump administration, you were better off, your family was better off, your neighbors were better off, and our country was better off. And you're also much safer when you had me behind the desk of the Oval Office. You were better off 5 years ago. Think of it. Just ask yourself, were you better off 5 years ago? Or are you better off today with the inflation, with bacon that costs you 4 times higher than you would have had to pay a little while ago? It's going up. Nobody's ever said anything like it. But what a difference a president makes. A president makes a big difference. Since Joe Biden took over, we've had a 3-year inflation rate of over 20%. Under my leadership, inflation was non-existent, and we had gasoline at $1.87 a gallon. After 3 years of Bidenomics, the average monthly mortgage has gone from $1,700 under my administration to $3,400 under this terrible administration. As long as Joe Biden is in the White House, the American dream is dead. It's dead. There is no American dream. But all of that will change the minute the polls close on election night 2024. It's going to all change. The next economic boom will begin the instant the world knows that Crooked Joe Biden is gone and Donald J. Trump and us, all of us together, have won 4 more years as president of the United States. It's a very important thing because our country is really, it's a disaster. It's not even believable what's happened to our country in a period of 3 years. Powered by the momentum of our historic victory, by Christmas of next year, that's a couple of months later, by Christmas of next year, the economy will be roaring back, energy prices will be plummeting, the hordes of people charging across our border will have totally ended, the invasion will have stopped. And I heard somebody today say, one of these genius analysts, the stock market's good, the rich get richer, but the stock market's good because they think Trump is going to win the election. And I believe that's true. And whatever good they have right now is the fumes of what we left them. It's coming off the fumes of what we've left them. But the stock market is good because a lot of people think we're going to win the election. So that's an interesting fact. I felt that, but I didn't want to say it. But I think we will say it. Because just like 3 years ago, they will know that I will catch. And when you have people that are pouring across the border at levels like no country has ever seen, not us, no country has ever seen, third world nations have never seen. They'd stop them with sticks and stones, I say. But they'll know that I'll catch them and we'll send them home, and the entire world will be safer and more peaceful because everyone will know that the days of Biden surrenders are over. So many mistakes. There's been nothing good that's happened. Nothing good. What good has happened in the last 3 years? Our country's gone to hell. As soon as I get back in the Oval Office, I'll also immediately end the war on Christians. I don't know if you feel it. If you have a war, there's a war. Under crooked Joe Biden, Christians and Americans of faith are being persecuted, and government has been weaponized against religion like never before, and also presidents like never before. Here I am. I always say Al Capone was treated better than I was treated. Scarface, Al Capone, he was a tough one. Biden and his corrupt Department of Injustice have sent SWAT teams to arrest pro-life activists. They've targeted conservative parents at school board meetings who don't want filth taught to their children. It's filth. What they're teaching in schools is filth and nonsense. And we can't let that happen. But they're being targeted. And now the communists, Marxists, and fascists are going hard after Catholics, even plotting to send spies into Catholic churches. It's all come out, just like in the Soviet Union from days gone by. Now think of it. If you're Catholic, why would you vote for a Democrat? What they're doing to Catholics. I don't know what's going on with the Catholics, but they're really being persecuted. Why would you vote for Biden, and why would you vote for a Democrat? A new report from the House Judiciary Committee proves that the Biden FBI actually targeted Catholics as potential domestic terrorists. Do you believe this? And, you know, evangelicals will not be far behind, because when that starts, it starts happening on a very major scale. When I'm back in the White House, never again will your government be used to target Christians and other religious believers. Upon taking office, I will create a new federal task force on fighting anti-Christian bias to be led by a fully reformed Department of Justice that's fair and equitable. Its mission will be to investigate all forms of illegal discrimination, harassment, and persecution against Christians in America. They are going after Christians in America. Who's can believe all this stuff? It's not believable, is it? But it is fact. It's just like so many of the other things when I stand up and I say that we will stop, and I've said it, we will stop men from participating in women's sports. I mean, the whole thing that you no, but things that you say that you can't believe you're up here and saying it. We are for parental rights. You have to say that. No, think of it. We are for parental rights. Who believes that? 10 years ago, 15 years ago, who would ever have to say a thing like that? We're for parental rights. Of course, we're for parental rights. But the Democrats aren't. They're fascists. They're not. They want school boards. They want people to take your children and do things with your children that are not even speakable. Americans of faith are not a threat to our country. Americans of faith are the soul of our country, and they have been from the beginning. I will defend religion, and I will defend In God We Trust. We will defend In God We Trust, which is... And you know that very important phrase is under siege. You do know that, right? We will defend it 100%. When Joe Biden lit the national Christmas tree earlier this month, he completely failed to even mention the birth of Jesus Christ, which is hard to do if you're celebrating Christmas, right? He didn't mention Jesus Christ in his remarks. Not for 3 years he hasn't mentioned that, and barely mentioned God. When I was president, we brought back the beautiful phrase, Merry Christmas, and I said I'd do that. I'm very proud of that, actually, because as I said at the beginning, that was really under siege, and when I lit the Christmas tree each year. It was my honor to publicly celebrate the true source of Christmas joy, which is Jesus Christ. As president, I kept every promise I made to Christians and more, and I think everybody in this room understands that very well. That's pretty well documented. In our first 4 years, we appointed nearly 300 federal judges and 3 great Supreme Court justices. I stood up for religious liberty at home and all around the world. I protected innocent life, and I defended the Judeo-Christian values of our nation's founding. I proudly recognized Israel's eternal capital and opened the American embassy in Jerusalem, which is a big thing. I also recognized Israeli sovereignty over the Golan Heights. And, you know, they were looking to get that for 72 years. They'd fly in, they'd fly out, they'd fly in, every year they'd fly in, they'd discuss it, they'd fly out. And I got it done in about 12 minutes. We got it done very quickly. And with the historic Abraham Accords, I even made peace in the Middle East. Unfortunately, they haven't taken it any further. It should have been taken. We could have had everybody signed up. It's no wonder crooked Joe Biden and the far left lunatics are desperate to stop us by any means necessary. They are willing to violate the U.S. Constitution at levels never seen before in order to win this election. Joe Biden is a threat to democracy. It's a threat. They're weaponizing law enforcement for high-level election interference because we're beating them so badly in the polls. The new CBS poll, remember, I always used to talk about polls, but only if they were good. I don't mention them if they were bad. I had a tendency, if they were bad, I didn't talk about them, right? I don't know. That's probably sort of like a little bit like the fake news would do, so I feel very embarrassed by it. But the new CBS poll just out has us at 58% in the state, with the sanctimonious 40 points behind us, 40 points. The new Morning Consult poll, that's in your state. The Consult poll has us at 66% nationwide, with DeSantis at 11% and Haley at 11%. And then they said, Haley is surging because she went from 9 to 11. I went up 7 points. She went up 2 points. And it's harder to go up 7 when you're almost at the top. There's not that many points left. So I went up 7, she went up 2, and the headline was, Haley is surging because she caught the sanctimonious. The Fox poll has us trouncing the primary field at 69%, with DeSantis at 13% and Haley at 9%. And, you know, it's sort of interesting. He did an interview the other day, and the announcer, this was sort of a straight interview at a major network. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a great honor to have Governor Ron DeSantis with us. No, it's DeSantis. So that's good branding. Do you agree? That's good. Nah, but he is sanctimonious. In the new Rasmussen poll of the general election, we're dominating by 10, 11, 12, even 14 points. And the Washington Post had it up 11. And then they said, oh, this must be an outlier. They spend $1.5 million on a poll, the Washington Post, and they panic. They say, this must be an outlier. This is the first time anyone ever had a poll, and they said, we think our poll must be wrong, but we have even better numbers than that. No, they're going crazy. But none of this matters if you don't show up to support us on January 15th and again on November 5th. So it's, again, the same thing. You got to show up. Even if you think we're going to win by a lot, you got to show up, because winning by a lot is very meaningful, even as countries watch from afar, because we would never have any of these problems if I were president. But when they see the kind of support that we have incredible support. We have more support than we did in 2020 or 2016, and we did great. We won 2016, and then we did even better by a lot, by millions and millions of votes in 2020. It was a rigged election. The radical left Democrats rigged the presidential election of 2020, and we're not going to allow them to rig the presidential election of 2024. We're not going to allow it. Every time the radical left Democrats, Marxists, communists, and fascists indict me, I consider it actually a great badge of honor. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Because I'm being indicted for you. Never forget, our enemies want to take away my freedom, because I will never let them take away your freedom. It's very simple. I'm not going to let them do it. They want to silence me because I will never let them silence you. And in the end, they're not after me, they're after you. I just happen to be standing in their way, and I always will stand in their way. And, you know, I've been saying this a lot lately because I see the kind of crowds. We go up to these large areas. We come out to the rural areas. No matter where we go, we have packed houses, some of them. We filled up an arena last time, a massive arena. We had thousands of people outside, couldn't get in. Brad was there. He couldn't get in. He got in. We almost said, keep him out. Let's keep him out, right? No, he's always going to be invited. This is far more than a campaign. This is the greatest political movement in the history of our country. That's what it is. This is a great political movement. This is not just a campaign. And together we will once again fight for Iowa families and Iowa farmers, just as we did 4 straight years. We fought for you. We've done more for the state of Iowa than any president ever in history. There's never been because when you add it all up, what we've done, unlike Crooked Joe, who wants to dramatically increase the estate tax, or the death tax as they call it, I virtually eliminated the unfair death tax, saving countless farms and families of farmers. They love their children. They leave their farm to the children. And the tax was so incredible that the children would often have to file bankruptcy because they had to go borrow money to pay the estate tax or the death tax. And I eliminated that tax. So now you can leave. If you love your children, if you don't love your children, then I haven't done that much for you. But some people love their children. Does everybody in this room love their children? I do. Does anybody in this room not love their children? Raise your hand. Oh, that guy in the blue jacket raises his hand. But no, it's very important because people were going to the heirs. You know, you inherit a farm, you have a 40, 50% tax to pay, and they fight with you over the tax, and they end up going to the bankers. The banks have been so bad, not the local bank. Some of these big banks have been horrible people running them. But, you know, the banks, they loan the money and they end up taking over the farm. We're not doing that. So we ended the estate tax, and farms and small businesses now, they don't have to go into hock and end up losing everything. And the parents are very happy about that. They're looking down and they're saying, I'm so happy. I love President Trump, because that was a big thing. I ended the NAFTA disaster, the worst trade deal ever made, and replaced it with the USMCA, the best trade deal ever made. And that was a giant win for Iowa farmers. I took on the communist Chinese like no administration in history. Communist China was doing a number on the farmers, and you know it better than anybody, bringing hundreds of billions of dollars pouring into our treasury when no other president had gotten 10 cents from China. Nobody had ever brought in any money. I brought in hundreds of billions of dollars from China. In fact, China is not now doing very well, and a lot of people think it was because of what I did with respect to all of the hundreds of billions I brought in. And Biden is unable to cancel it because it's so much money that it's having a hard time canceling. It's hard to say, oh, gee, let's not do that for hundreds of billions of dollars. And then I gave the farmers $28 billion straight out of the tariffs I took in from China, a large part of which came right back to the state of Iowa, right? That's why my people in the back, you know, my great geniuses, sir, please don't say that too often, because you sound very conceited when you say that you guarantee that Iowa is going to vote for you. You guarantee Iowa. I said, I got him $28 billion, of course. Who else is going to get him $28 billion? I said, go out and buy more land and larger tractors. Do you remember that? But you know what? They stuck with me because we had a period of 6 or 7 months with China. You know, they're great negotiators. They were playing hardball, but we ended up winning, and they buy now. We made a trade deal with China. I don't even talk about it because of COVID, but we made one of the greatest trade deals ever made. They buy $50 billion worth of product from this country, and they were buying nothing before that. They were buying nothing. So it was an amazing thing that happened, and it's an honor to have done it. And I do believe I could say that, but I won't say it because I will not say that because my people have said. So I will not guarantee it, but I pretty much guarantee it, okay? Let's vote against let's vote against Trump because he gave us $28 billion. I don't know. It's somehow they got a problem with that one, don't they? Huh? The people that are running against us and who, frankly, were not in favor of farmers. You know, Ron DeSanctimonious was not a friend of the farmer. He fought against the farm bill. He fought against ethanol hard, very hard. Now all of a sudden he loves ethanol. About 2 weeks ago it started, right? No one gets abused on trade worse than American agriculture, yet no other president lifted a finger for you. Nobody lifted a finger for you in Iowa, nobody. Under my leadership, we will have a great rebirth of loyalty to the American farmer and loyalty to the American flag. And I'm going to pass something that's so important. We were just about set to do that. We had the greatest economy in history. We're just about set, and then we hit COVID. COVID came, a gift from China, from Wuhan. I told them it came from the Wuhan lab. I said it right from the beginning. I never changed. Trump, you ever see the hats? Trump was right about everything. Some of the things I don't want to be right about, like I think our country's in more danger now for World War III than ever before. I don't want to be right about that. But we have a man who's grossly incompetent, and he's talking about nuclear weapons and negotiations. He doesn't even know what the hell he's talking. He can't even find the stairs to get off a stage. All right, there they are. There they are. They're all over the place. Jump off the front, but don't walk into the back wall. You ever see that? He finishes a speech, if you call it that. He did a news conference the other day, and he goes, "Okay, let's see." You know, I did news conferences in the White House. You. He did Jim Jones of NBC. Oh, is he here? Oh, the guy says, "Mr. President, what about this? What about that? What about that?" I would like to tell you the following. He's reading the answer, meaning he knows the questions and they write down the answer. He reads the answer. If I ever did that, they would impeach me a third time, right? They would impeach me a third. We beat them twice. You know, they impeached me, and then they found out I was right. They're all saying we really shouldn't have impeached him. But actually, the Republicans, and Jim Jordan's great, and Jamie is doing a great job. But the Republicans are being much nicer because they're saying, let's do an inquiry first. They didn't do an inquiry with me. I walk in, they impeached me. So these are bad people, bad people. I will pass the Trump Reciprocal Trade Act. So that means if China or any other country make us pay a 100% or 200% tariff, which they do, we will make them pay a reciprocal tariff, identical tariff of 100 to 200% right back. We'll take in billions and billions. Now, what will happen is they'll end the tax. You know, they'll end the tax. But we're all set to get that. We would have had that quickly. I will revoke China's most favored nation trade status, and we will impose stiff penalties on China and other trade abusers because they abuse us. But many people abuse us on trade and even the military. At the same time, I will end Joe Biden's war on American energy, and we will, ready? Drill, baby, drill. We will drill. We'll put straws in the ground and we'll have oil coming up. We have more oil than anybody, oil and gas. We have more than any other country in the world. And, you know, we took it from fourth place to first place in just a short period of time. We were going to make so much money. We were making so much. We were energy independent. Think of that. Gas prices, oil prices down so low, record numbers in some cases, but down so low. And we were going to sell it all over the world, fill up our strategic reserve, which I was doing very cheaply by comparison to what they're doing now. He used the money just to have a better election. He used a lot of the money. That's drained. It's the lowest point it's ever been right now. That's meant for military. That's meant for real problems, not to keep your gasoline price down so that you can get some votes during an election. But they brought it down to the lowest level in order to try and remain relevant for an election. It's very terrible what they've done. They've done a lot of bad things. As part of our common sense energy policies, I will once again stand up for Iowa ethanol like I have done. I've been your savior. Many people did not want anybody to stand up for it. I just promised as president, I issued a historic rule declaring that E15 would be made available all year round. You know what that means. I did it all year. It was 8 months, and I did it all year round. Nobody thought that was going to happen, and letting them use the existing pumps. Now, that doesn't sound very glamorous, but it was hundreds of millions of dollars would have had to be spent. That would have been an increase in price to you. And I let them use the existing pumps. I very simple. I brought in experts. I said, well, what's the difference? They said, well, sir, the old ones are actually better. I know that because a lot of times equipment is much better. The older equipment is a lot better than the new equipment. And like grass cutters, all you have in a grass cutter today is environmental computers and equipment. They forgot to put blades on it to cut the grass. So sometimes you'd rather have like a blade. Give me a blade to cut the grass. In contrast to my unwavering support for Iowa ethanol and agriculture, Ron DeSanctimonious wants to literally bankrupt Iowa farmers. That's what he'd do because his policies are horrible. DeSantis spent his entire political career vindictively trying to kill the ethanol industry, voting again and again to devastate Iowa farmers by eliminating the billions of dollars generated each year from ethanol and wiping out 48,000 Iowa jobs. He voted against it. Unlike DeSantis, I will be your ethanol champion for 4 more years. You have 4 more years of security.
That's it.
And I will also rescue the ethanol industry by canceling crooked Joe Biden's insane ethanol-killing electric vehicle mandate on day one. Everything has to be electric. Electric cars, they don't go far. They cost too much. They're all going to be made in China. The United Auto Workers are going to all be voting for Trump because they're going to, this mandate's going to kill all jobs. All jobs. They've lost so many now to Mexico. 32% went to Mexico. Many went to Canada, and the rest went to China. Whatever we have left, it's peanuts compared to what it should have been. But this electric car thing is just crazy. If you want to drive, maybe, let's say you're here. If you say, let's take a drive to beautiful, safe Chicago. It's so safe. Let's drive there. How many times would you have to stop? About 9? You know, it's just crazy. It's these people, and they know it. They know it's crazy. They don't want to even listen to people. Same thing with the trucking industry. They want to have electric trucks. So a truck, a big, beautiful truck like Peterbilt or one of them, they can go, the big ones, they can go 18-wheelers. They can go about 2,000 miles, they say, 2,000 on a big tank of diesel. And an electric truck comparable, which you can't be comparable because you need so much room for the battery. Most of the area that you're going to carry your goods going to be battery. But assuming we take away that problem, which is not easy to take away, you'd have to stop approximately 7 times to go 2,000 miles, right? You go about 300 miles, and they don't want to change that. You think after one, if I were sitting there and that was explained to me and verified, I would say, of course you're not going to do that. We'll destroy our supply chain. But the Attorney General would agree with me. I mean, you don't have to be a great expert to know you can't do that. One goes 2,000 miles and the other one goes 300 miles, and you don't have any capacity because half of it's got to be for battery. The batteries are massive. Crooked Joe puts China first. He puts Asia first, Ukraine first, illegal aliens first, environmental maniacs first. He puts everyone first, but he puts America last. He puts Iowa last. He puts our workers last. He puts our farmers last, and he puts everything that's good last. And by the way, they abandoned Iowa. You saw that, right? They left Iowa. I don't think he's going to do too well here. You know, they used to be together with them, but they've gone now to another state, good state also, by the way, but they've gone. They've left a tradition. I said, we're never going to do that. We're never going to do that to Iowa. You know, it's got a great political tradition. And I kept Iowa first. That was me. I put Iowa first, and I will put America first every single time I put our country first. So job number 1 when we return to the White House will be to restore peace through strength. Peace through strength. For 4 straight years, I kept America safe. I kept Israel safe. I kept Ukraine safe. There was no talk of this. And I kept the entire world safe. A great gentleman, Viktor Orban, Hungary. He's the leader. He's the boss. He's everything you want to call him. He's a tough guy. He's tough, very well. I mean, he knows Russia very well. He knows Ukraine very well. They were saying, what do you think is going on with the world? He said, what's going on with the world is Trump isn't there anymore. We didn't have any of these problems. He said, what would you suggest? Bring Trump back as president of the United States, and you won't have any of these problems. He said, when Trump was there, these leaders, China, Russia, all of them, they were afraid of the United States. They feared the United States. They respected him. And I thought it was a nice statement. So I repeat it as often as I can, because I know one thing, the press is not going to repeat it. You know, you might as well repeat it yourself. This is a lesson. Repeat it yourself, because they're not going to be repeating it. I'm the only candidate, I think you know this, who can make a very important promise. So I think the world's in more danger than it's ever been because of the power of weaponry. And I will be the only one that can say this with great surety. I will prevent World War III. World War III. We're very close. I don't know if you feel it. I don't know, Madam Attorney General, if you feel it, but we're very close to World War III when you see these discussions taking place. You know, we had an axiom, never, ever talk nuclear, never mention the word nuclear. It was not a word that was mentioned because the power is so ridiculous, and we didn't mention it. Now, all the time, you're hearing nuclear from them. From them. You're hearing it from other countries. It was unacceptable. It was a word that you couldn't say. And all of a sudden, you're hearing that word all the time. And this wouldn't be a war like with army tanks running back and forth, shooting at each other, World War I, World War II. This would be obliteration. This would be the worst thing there's never been. This would be obliteration. You cannot use the word. You cannot discuss that word. But I rebuilt our military to a level that it's never been before. And that includes that, you know, our nuclear stockpile. I have no choice. I hated doing it, but it's all tippy top. It's all really in the best of condition now. We had stuff that we had no idea if it even worked. It was 40 years old, and the wires to the phones didn't even work. Nothing worked. And everything has been rebuilt. We've done a great job, really an amazing job. And the only reason we had to do that is because China is building their heart out with nuclear, and Russia, as you know, has comparable to us. So it's a very dangerous position when you see the words that are being spewed. And I'm saying, and I'm watching his language and his body language. I'm saying he's saying the exact opposite of what should be said. We're very unsafe, and we have 11 months to go. You know, that's a long time. They could do a lot of damage in 11 months. Under the Trump administration, we had the most secure border in U.S. history by far. We built 561 miles of border wall and got Mexico to give us 28,000 soldiers free of charge. That was much more than, as I said, we'll get Mexico to pay for a big portion of it. This is much more. We have 28,000. I had 28,000 soldiers free of charge. I said to them, hey, you're going to have to give us 28,000 soldiers. We need that. They said, no, we will not do that. I said, of course you will. They said, we will not do that. Why would we do a thing like that? I said, you're going to have to do it. I'm sorry, but you're going to have to do it. And they said no. And then I said, here's what's going to happen. On Monday morning at 7 o'clock, we're going to impose a 25% tariff or tax on all of your goods, including the cars that you stole away from us in terms of manufacturing of cars. You know, they have 32% of our car production was taken away years ago by Mexico. 32%. But every car is going to have a 25% tax on it, and we're going to take in so much money. And then they turned around and they said, we would like to make a phone call to Mexico, please, sir. They came in the room 5 minutes later, and they said it would be our great honor to supply you with 28,000 soldiers. And we had 28,000 soldiers, and we had very few people. We had the best record. This is as we're building the wall. Then I was going to add another 200 miles to the wall that we had just completed, because all of a sudden you needed more, because it's like, you know, that's the way it works, right? They come, have to walk a little bit further out. We're going to add another 200. And then what happened is we had a rigged election, and Biden came in and he said, we don't want any walls. We want to have open borders. And nobody could believe it. And I, you know, when I heard that during the campaign, I figured maybe it's just words, but who could be so stupid? Who could be so horrible to our country? What they're doing to our country, they actually meant it, because they took all of the wall that I had ready to just be installed, could have been done in 3 weeks, And they took that wall and they sold it for 5 cents on the dollar. And it was all the exact stuff that Border Patrol wanted. We had wires in it for technology. We had concrete, rebar, and very hardened steel. That's exactly what, and they had to have openings to see. I was going to put up concrete plank and it would have looked fine. But no, but think of it. It's so sad. And they actually sold a lot of it for 5 cents on the dollar. Now they'll end up building it at some point because, two things that work. Remember the old days with the campaigns? I said, there's only 2 things that work, because your phone that you have and your computer that you have, in about 2 weeks, it's obsolete. You have to buy a new one. The 2 things that work are wheels and walls, right? Wheels will always be there and walls will always be there. They're the only 2 things that will never get obsolete. Now we have a border catastrophe like in nobody's ever seen really anything like it. If you look today look over the last 3 years, but you look now, it's so bad. It's like nothing in the history of the world. Yesterday, we had a single highest day record of illegal border crossings ever recorded, 12,600, one day. We have no idea who any of them are. They come from Africa. They come from Asia. They come from South America, but not just South America. They're all over the world. They dump them on the border and they pour into our country, and nobody's there to check them. And the Border Patrol is incredible, by the way. They want to do it, but they're told not to do their job. It's crazy what's going on. They're ruining our country. And it's true. They're destroying the blood of our country. That's what they're doing. They're destroying our country. They don't like it when I said that. And I never read Mein Kampf. They said, oh, Hitler said that in a much different way. No, they're coming from all over the world, people all over the world. We have no idea. They could be healthy. They could be very unhealthy. They could bring in disease that's going to catch on in our country, but they do bring in crime. But they have them coming from all over the world. And they're destroying the blood of our country. They're destroying the fabric of our country. And we're going to have to get them out. We're going to have to get mass numbers of these, especially the criminals. They're coming from jails, prisons. They're coming from mental institutions. They say, please don't say the words insane asylum. But I have to say it. They're emptying out the insane asylums from all over the world. Why wouldn't they? I would do it. If I were running Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, Mexico, they're emptying out their prisons into our country. How stupid are we to allow this to happen? This week, the Biden administration closed 2 vital railway crossings so that border agents could be redirected to help process even more migrants. They were coming in. You saw the trains with thousands and thousands of people on top of them and in them. Thousands and thousands of people pouring into our country. And we actually allow them to come in. They process them. Where do you come from? Where were you? I was in a jail. Oh, okay, you can come in. Come on in. They let anybody in. And you have other people that study. You probably saw Melania this week where she held a great, beautiful reception for people that came into our country legally. They studied, they worked, they had to take exams, they had to talk about our flag and George Washington and everything else. It was a beautiful day. But that's the way it's about, because we want people to come in, but they have to come in legally. But what's happening now is the whole system is being underrun. And no country can sustain this, by the way. You have children going to school. They don't speak the language. You have children going to school speaking languages that nobody even knows what the language is. There are many languages in the world. They don't even know what the language is. And they're sitting in classrooms, and there's no room for our students in the classrooms, and they don't speak the language. On my first day back in the White House, I will terminate every open border policy of the Biden administration, stop the invasion on our southern border, and begin the largest domestic deportation operation in American history. We have no choice. No country can sustain this. We will restore law and order to our communities, and I will direct a completely overhauled DOJ to investigate every radical, out-of-control prosecutor, of which we have many, in America. I have a guy named Deranged Jack Smith. He's a deranged person. He happens to be after me. The great one is the boxes hoax. They have a boxes. Biden has been taking stuff out of the White House or taken out wherever he was. He was a senator. for 50 years. He's got tremendous amounts of stuff. He had it brought to Chinatown. What's that all about? And then after it was brought there, it was distributed to different places. Chinatown. And it leaked to CNN, of course, because they leak, the prosecutors leak, that he's not going to have any problem. But me, with a tiny amount, and I come under the Presidential Records Act, which gives me the absolute right to do it. With me, oh, I'm different. But mine was in a secure location. Everything was tippy-top. But, you know, with this guy, just think about it. They don't want to do anything. They're not going to do anything. It just came out. They released it. They leaked it. They leak it because they're dishonest. You're not supposed to leak that. They talk about classified documents, and they're leaking about classified documents. But he had many classified documents. Just think about it. And they leaked that he's going to be okay. He did nothing wrong. He did everything wrong. And he made it impossible for them. And he took things when he was a senator, which Dick Durbin is on television. He's a senator, Democrat. He's saying, oh, if he did that, that's a crime. That's a terrible thing. And he never came under the Presidential Records Act because he was vice president and he was a senator. But for him, it's okay. For me, and I have total protection. I'm allowed to do it. You know, the New York Times wrote an article, and I'm sure the writer got fired, but basically it said, please, 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 Mr. President, and that was the title, something like that. Please, 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 Mr. President, like James Brown. Did you ever hear please, please, please? Please, 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 Mr. President, may we have, they said the only right they have is to say, please, Mr. President, may we have them because I'm entitled to them. And this was in the New York Times, big article. And yet they leak that Biden has no problem, but they continue because I have a deranged prosecutor. He's a deranged person. And the good news is people get it. That's why my poll numbers are so high, I believe. Because, you know, I would really have, I think we'd be winning by a lot. But now we're winning by numbers that nobody can believe. I think it's why our poll numbers, because they see this persecution that goes on in this two tiers of justice or injustice, and they don't like it. They don't want that. This is not what America is all about. So I appreciate everything, and I appreciate all the support we get because that makes a big difference. When you have poll numbers where, you know, where we're like literally 80 and 90 points higher in some cases, and some of these guys, we have guys running like from Arkansas. He's been at 0 for 7 months. Asa Hutchinson, I call him Ada. It's Asa. The only reason I corrected is they'll say, he didn't know his name. He didn't know his name. He must be cognitive. You know? Don't forget, I do most of this stuff without teleprompters. They do. Biden. No, if I say Ada Hutchinson, oh, they'll do it anyway. I just gave them an idea. Look, they're starting to write that. They'll say, he didn't know his name. No, it's Asa, but I call him Ada. But this guy he's the governor of Arkansas. He's got the personality of that floor tile. See the tile? There's a broken tile right there. That's about as much personality. And he's a nasty guy. He's got 0 for how many months has he been running? Like a year? For a year he's been running. He's at 0. Chris Christie, who's got a serious case of Trump derangement syndrome. He's sick. Between him and Liz Cheney, does she have Trump derangement syndrome or what? No. And I let Scooter Libby out. You know, it's a friend of their family. They didn't do anything for him. I did. They didn't get him out. I got him out. I gave him a pardon because he was treated very unfairly. Scooter Libby, but he was a very good friend of the Cheney family. They didn't do anything for him. I did. But, you know, you'd think they'd be thankful for that, but they don't talk about that. They say I'm a threat to democracy. No, Joe Biden is a threat to democracy by all of the things that we talk about. But I'm also going to indemnify all police officers and law enforcement officials throughout the United States for being destroyed by the radical left for taking strong action on crime. These are people, they want to destroy them because they want to put criminals away. They're forced to do nothing. They cannot do anything when they want to. They do want to. They're the greatest people. The police, and I just met a lot of them in the backstage, are all like incredible people. But, you know, they're under threat of losing their pension, their house, and their family, and losing everything if you touch these people. I mean, you let what's going on where the people are going into these stores and robbing them, and even the clerks, they fire clerks if they try and stop them. I mean, if I had a clerk that was willing to stop them, I would say, you are the greatest. You love our country, our company, our store. And they fire them. It's like crazy. There's something going on. Our brains are being fried. There's something going on. But our police know everything, and they can solve these crime problems very quickly, but they're not allowed to do it. And they don't want to lose their families. They don't want to lose their house and their pension. We're not going to let that happen anymore. So what I'm going to do is give indemnifications to any police officer that gets in trouble for pursuing a criminal, because that's what we have to do. In addition, we will take over our horribly run Washington, D.C., and clean up, renovate, and rebuild our Capitol so that it no longer is a nightmare of murder and crime. People are being murdered there every day, murdered in our Capitol. Can you imagine when these people come from foreign countries and they may not be rich, but their capitals are safe. They have no crime. They take care of it fast. But can you imagine they come into this thing and they read that 3 people were murdered last night in Washington, D.C., and they have graffiti all over the place. On those beautiful marble columns, they have graffiti all over the place. Graffiti, graffiti, graffiti. The streets, they look like, I mean, I drove into Washington a few weeks ago for a court case. One of the many. I should get to know it very well. I can't get a fair trial on Washington. The whole thing is ridiculous. But for a court case, I'm driving over a road where it's almost all paper, garbage. And, you can see paper. I know paper. I know cans. When cans start to literally rot, when paper is rotting, it's been there for a long time. Nobody cleans up anything. The medians, the dividers, they're all broken and falling down. It looks like an absolute slum. And when foreign leaders come into Washington and they see that, I don't care how good you are as a president, they go back and they say, that country's got a lot of problems. We're going to clean it up. We're going to make it the most beautiful capital anywhere in the world. Our parks will be cleaned. All tents and graffiti will be removed. You have to see some of these beautiful parks that you remember 5 years ago. You'd go there. They were so beautiful and safe. But you take a look at some of these parks, you can't even see the grass. There are people all over the place living there with tents. Slum areas will be demolished and rebuilt to the highest level of architectural elegance. We're going to have to do that. I know it sounds rough, but we're going to have to do that. Washington, D.C. will become a symbol of beauty, security, freedom, and strength again. We have to have that. We can't let this happen. They've taken over the Capitol. In addition to our Capitol, we're going to rebuild our cities into beacons of hope and safety and beauty better than they've ever been before. I mean, you're not thinking too much about that in Iowa, but you want to see your country be great. It will be the greatest investment ever made in them, and we're going to work closely with Democrat leaders. They're all run by Democrats, and they're all doing horribly. And all of these failing places, we're going to make sure that this rebuilding will be a lasting and very compassionate one. We're going to rebuild our cities, and we're going to strengthen up crime at a level like nobody can believe. You're going to be able to be safe again. Safety will be restored so that children can go outside with their mothers and fathers and play in the park without being beat up, molested, or shot. Students can walk to school in peace. They used to walk to school. Today, you need an armored vehicle to take them to school. Crime rates will plummet, and people will they're going to be really longing to move back into the city. When I was young, my dream was to move into Manhattan. I wanted to build buildings in Manhattan. Oh, that was my dream. And today, people are leaving. They're leaving. They're afraid to stay in the cities. Unlike DeSantis, will always protect Social Security and Medicare. He was against Social Security. He was willing to take Social Security and do numbers on it and slice and dice, but he also wanted to move the minimum age up to 70. That's a big move for people because you don't, listen, we have so much liquid gold under our feet. We don't have to do that stuff. We don't have to do that. Why should seniors be hurt with Medicare and Social Security? We're also going to fight to give you much better health care because Obamacare, as you know, is a catastrophe for American families. And as I say, even Elizabeth Warren, who often is referred to as, as Pocahontas because of her great Indian heritage, But she even agrees that it needs to be fixed. It has to be fixed. It's too expensive for the people. And we're going to get it done. We almost had it done, but then John McCain voted it down. After campaigning for 10 years to kill it, John McCain voted it down. Too bad. That was too bad. Remember, thumbs down. That was not good. We're going to make it much less expensive for the people with much, much better health care. You're going to get that, and we deserve it. On day one, I will sign a new executive order to cut federal funding for any school pushing critical race theory, transgender insanity, and inappropriate racial, sexual, or political content on our children. And I will not give 1 penny to any school that has a vaccine mandate or a mask mandate. A mask mandate. And as I said before, something that's very popular, I can't believe I have to say it, but I might as well. I will keep men out of women's sports. Is that okay? You see the weightlifting records? They're being broken by hundreds of pounds. One stood for, I think, 18 years, over a quarter of an ounce. They're coming in, they're wiping it out like 158 pounds. So it's just so demeaning to women, the whole thing. I mean, women, great athletes, I mean, it's just so unfair. They're going to have records. They'll have, look, eventually that's got to happen. It's going to happen with me. But you're going to have like these records where the record will be here, but you'll have this blip for a period of 3 or 4 years. Beep. Like that. They're going to say, they'll look back at 100 years, they'll say, what the hell happened there? Who was that? That was one strong woman, wasn't it? I will fully uphold the Second Amendment. We will restore free speech, and I will secure our elections. Our goal will be one day voting with paper ballots and voter ID. Very simple. But until then, Republicans must win. We have to win. Once we get in, we'll change that. But we have to win. If you took the 10 worst presidents in the history of the United States and added them up, they would not have done near the destruction to our country as Joe Biden and the Biden administration has done. To take the 10, remember I used to say 5. But you don't have to say 5. You could take the 10 worst presidents and they would not have done the damage that he's done. So if you want to save America from Crooked Joe, then get every patriot you know. Make sure they are registered Republicans, have to be registered Republicans, and get them out to vote in their local precinct caucuses at 7 p.m. on Monday. And I'm going to be here with you, by the way, January 15th. It's Martin Luther King holiday, so it's a Martin Luther King Day. I'm going to be here. I'm going to be probably in Des Moines or someplace. I'll be caucusing. We don't want to take any chances, right? So I could sit home. I didn't have to be. They said, sir, do you want to go there? You're in great shape. I said, no, thanks. I'm going because we have to make sure everybody gets out. And if I don't get out, that's no good, right? So we're going to make sure we get out. We're asking you to commit to caucus for us and bring as many people as you can to caucus at our campaign. Sign up at ia.donaldjtrump.com, okay? And in conclusion, from Sioux City to Iowa City, from Fort Dodge to Cedar Rapids and Des Moines, to Davenport, to right here in Waterloo, we stand on the shoulders of generations of Iowa patriots who have tamed the wilderness, braved the elements, tilled the soil. You tilled that soil, I'll tell you, you still till on the soil, right? You're great people. Worked the fields, built the factories, and poured out their blood, sweat, and tears to make this country into the greatest nation in the history of the world. But now we are a nation in decline. We are a failing nation. We are a nation that has lost its confidence, its willpower, and its strength. We're a nation that has lost its way. But we are not going to allow this horror to continue. We're not going to allow it to continue. We can't let it continue. The biggest election we've ever had is coming up, 2024. You know, I used to say that with 2016. It's the biggest election. I meant it. But we had a big border problem. In fact, I fixed it so good that in 2020, we couldn't talk about the border. They'd say, sir, nobody cares about the border. I said, what do you mean? It's the biggest thing. You fixed it, sir. It was totally fixed. And then what happened is not even believable. This is the single biggest election in the history of our country. This is going to determine whether or not we even have a country left, because these people are destroying our country. 3 years ago, we were a great nation, and we will soon be a great nation again. It was hardworking patriots like you who built this country, and it is hardworking patriots like you who are going to save our country. We will fight for America like no one has ever fought before. 2024 is our final battle. With you at my side, we will demolish the deep state. We will expel the warmongers. We will drive out the globalists. We will cast out the communists, Marxists, and fascists. We will throw off the sick political class that hates our country. We will rout the fake news media. We will evict Joe Biden from the White House, and we will finish the job once and for all. The great silent majority is rising like never before. And under our leadership, the forgotten men and women, the men and women of our country have been forgotten. They will be forgotten no longer. They weren't forgotten for 4 years. You know that better than anybody. Nobody's ever done better than we did during that 4-year period. We will love our country. We will take care of our country. We will pray to God for our strength and for our liberty. We will pray for God, and we will be with God. We are one movement, one people, one family, and one glorious nation under God. And together we will make America powerful again. We will make America wealthy again. We will make America strong again. We will make America proud again. We will make America safe again. And we will make America great again. Thank you very much, Iowa. God bless you. Get out and vote. Get out and caucus. Thank you all. Thank you, Front Row Joes. You follow me no matter where I go. We love you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, y'all. Okay, we're going to simulcast Kelly show. Yeah, we're going to talk about this because I need the Trump dance. Yeah. Okay, so let me simulcast Kelly show here. Kelly. Here we go.
Donald J. Trump wrapping up 1 hour here in Waterloo, Iowa, talking immigration, Biden's incompetency. He says when he's back in office, he will defend our religion and keep the saying, "In God we trust," as America's slogan. He says the MAGA movement is the greatest political movements in American history. He says it's the MAGA movement that is putting him in the lead in the polls, and it's because of the American people like you, which is why he's doing so well, and that's why he's here, is to continue.
Okay, I'm here. That, you know what? I really never get tired of a Trump speech. I really don't. And what I mean by that Trump dance, look, you know how he's like, he always moves his fist like that. He kills me with that. And what I want to do, if I can get some people to join me, other content creators, whoever, it can be anybody really. If I can get people to just do that, and then I can have somebody edit it and put it together, I would love to have, like, if I could get 100 people to just do that little part. It doesn't require much quote unquote dancing. That's not really dancing. I call it the Trump dance. But that would be super cool if people would agree to participate. So I think I'm gonna make a community post about it, right? And then hopefully I can connect with people that way. That would be cool. I appreciate you guys coming on here. Like I said, it never really gets dull for me, even though a lot of the speeches, tend to be very similar. And a lot of you guys know that it came out today with Colorado and them pulling them off the ballot, but there's hope and faith that that will get thrown out, because that's just ridiculous. And I think I told you guys the other day that I had a family member who asked me to simply change the Constitution so that could happen. And now I'm looking at this like, are you serious? Like, but you know what? You believe in God, you have faith, everything's going to work out. And I got to keep looking at it like that, because, it's like you get 3 steps forward, you take 5 back, but eventually the tables will turn. I think everything is going to work for its way into the public, right? Everything in the dark comes to the light slowly but surely. There was a couple of things I want to touch on. I don't know if I'm going to get to that. I would love to drop the link and have other people come up on the panel. I don't know how to simulcast. I wanted to do that with the Arena Uncensored because I know he was live too, but I don't know. I can barely figure out StreamYard, so I don't know how I would do that. But I'm going to put the link in the chat if anybody wants to come up and talk about current events. Feel free. We can discuss it together. If not, that's cool too. I do have a few things on here. Just don't fault me if I, have some technical difficulties. And you know what, John? I saw what you said. I was trying to, honestly, guys, I have to sometimes ignore the chat a little bit because I'll get thrown off. So I try to interact and, whatever, as much as I can, so I don't lose my train of thought. Oh, here goes my buddy right here.
Hold on, because I'm getting an echo. So let me.
Lexon.
Hey.
Hey, how you doing?
Hold on, because I'm getting an echo. So let me. Dang, hold on. Snowman, he knew how to do this. It's like you could bring a person up and then simulcast. You know what? Let me mute. Dang, Snowman, he knew how to do this. It's like you could bring a person up and then simulcast. You know what? Let me mute out. Okay, no problem.
Okay. I'm not sure. I'm not a StreamYard professional.
Okay, no problem.
So.
Yeah, I'm streaming on my channel, but I can just end my show.
So are you streaming on your channel right now then?
Yeah, I'm streaming on my channel, but I could just end my show.
Well, I'll put the link in my comment section, and then you can get it from there.
Okay.
Of the video.